Okay, I'm sure you're wondering how that awesome video got created. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this is George Peralta's portfolio folder, and he created a subfolder in here called George Peralta Stop Motion. And in this folder are all the photographs he took for that animation. So I'm going to go to George Peralta Stop Motion, and I'm going to download it. And you can see it says that it's zipping the file. And I'm going to go to my right click, and I'm just going to show in folder. So there it is. It's zipped. Now, if you double click on it and you double click on it again, and on a regular computer, you just have to hit extract all, and it'll extract them into another folder. But you can actually skip this step if you're on a Mac, because in a Mac, if you just double click on them, it'll automatically unzip them. So we're on Mac, so we don't have to worry about the extract all. But in any case, here's the George Peralta Stop Motion. It's in my downloads. So now if I go to Adobe Photoshop, I can take these files and I can load them into a stack. This is a completely different procedure from how you normally do things in Photoshop. So first you do, well, let me let Photoshop fully open now. First you do File, Scripts, Load Files into Stack. And then you go Browse. You go to your downloads and you find the unzipped file, not the zipped one, but the unzipped file. You double click on it. You double click on it again. And now to select all the images in the file, you do Command A. And that will select, Command A is select all. On a regular computer, it's Control A. And then you hit OK, and they'll appear in this window here, but you're not done yet. Now I'm going to go to the top image. I'm going to pull this down till I get to the bottom. And before I click on the last image, I'm going to hold the Shift key down, then click on the last image. That selects all of them, and then you hit OK, and they will load into a stack. And you can see them loading in the layer menu right here. So each layer in Photoshop can be translated into a frame in animation. You just have to open up the timeline in Photoshop. If you've never opened up the timeline before, I'll show you how to do that. But essentially, your animation is, the basic animation is almost done here. So they're just coming in. They're over 100 frames. So if you want 10 seconds of animation, you need 120 photographs. Okay? So normally, when you open Photoshop, this is what you see. In order to view the timeline, you go up to Window, and then you go to Timeline, and it'll say Create Video Timeline. You do not want to create a video timeline. So you're going to hit this down arrow and change it to create frame animation. That's what you want, frame animation. So then you go to the middle of the word frame and you click on it, and you will get one single frame. So what you do is you go over here where these lines are, you click on it, and you do Make Frames from Layers, and it will take all the frames and put them in order on a timeline. Now, when I hit play, I see there's a problem. The last frame is at the beginning, so that's why the stickbot's walking backwards. So I don't want that. So I'm going to go back to the beginning, and you do not have to sit here manually reversing all these frames. That's not necessary. All you're going to do is go here and hit reverse frames, and it will make the last frame the first frame and the first frame the last frame. So if you go back here to the beginning and you play it, okay, so I need to talk to you about editing this. First off, it's going so fast that I really can't see it edit it. So what you can do is you can actually sit here and manually click through the frames one at a time. So I'm going to go to the very beginning to frame 1, and I'm going to just manually click through the frames one at a time. Okay, so a couple of these frames are actually blurry. So only you can decide whether you want these blurry frames or not, but let's say you want to get rid of them. So I can just take this frame. I'm not actually touching the original document, just the frame on the timeline, and I can throw it in the garbage. So I can do that for the next couple of frames, which are blurry. All right, so I've gotten rid of the blurry frames. I'm going to just keep going. This is overall a pretty quick process. I'm not loving these frames, so I'm going to get rid of them. Just hit the little garbage can at the bottom here. And then I can just continue. Okay, there's a frame here with a finger in it. So I don't want that finger, but I need the frame because it's part of the stickbot's walk cycle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide down here until I find the frame. There it is. I can tell this is the frame that corresponds with frame 93. This is the layer that corresponds with it because it has the little eye next to it. So that's the frame that's visible. So I click on it. And once I've clicked into it on the layers menu, so once I've clicked into it on the layers menu, I'm going to take the rectangular marquee and draw a box around it. And then I'm going to do edit, fill, content aware. Now there's a drop down menu. So you pick content aware from the drop down menu. And what content aware does is it analyzes the surrounding pixels and averages them and then fills it in so that it looks like the finger and the little remote were never there. So I'm going to hit OK. And it just covers it up. So you can see if I could do select, deselect, then it's gone. So I'm going to just keep clicking through my timeline, make sure everything's okay. And I see that everything is pretty much fine. So now I'm going to hit save. It's very important that you hit save or save as, and that you save it on your computer. So save on my computer. And I don't want it to be called untitled document, so I'm going to call it George Stickbot War. Okay. And I'm going to save it as a Photoshop file, and I'll hit save. Once it has been saved, I'm going to do File, Export, Render Video. Now, this is very important. You can't just render the video. What you have to do is you have to change a few things. the first thing you need to do is change the size. So there's a whole drop-down menu. What you want is HDTV 1080p. If you don't change the size, you could be rendering a video that's like 72 inches across or 45 inches across, because it's based on these very, very large photographs from the camera. So you want to change it to make it high definition and about as big as the largest YouTube video, but you don't need it any bigger than that, certainly. So it'll say 1920 by 1080, which we know is the same size as a HD YouTube video. And the frame rate, you need to change the frame rate. The default is going to be like 30 frames per second. You do not want that. It'll be way too fast. It won't look good. So change it to 12 frames per second and then hit render. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is you're going to click on this. You must renew your WeVideo full access. Now, some of you have already done this, but what you need to do is you can use your Chromebook or you can use Google Chrome. You cannot use Safari for this. It will not work in Safari. You have to copy this code, which is in our Google Classroom, and you have to go to WeVideo, which is just www.wevideo.com, and you're going to have to log in using your Google credentials. Once you're in there using your Google credentials, you might see a place where you can apply the code. If you do see that, apply the code. If you've never used WeVideo before, it's extremely important that, one, you use your school login credentials, which means you're logging in with Google, and two, that you apply the code so that you get full access to WeVideo. Otherwise, your work will be watermarked and there'll be other basic limitations to it. Now, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be using Classic, okay? And you're going to go to Projects, and then you're going to do Create New Project. And you're just going to call it Stop Motion. Okay, and then you hit Personal, and then you hit Next. You hit Next again, and then you do Create Video. Now, this is where you're going to be adding sound and doing other edits to your stop motion animation. And then you're going to do Import, Browse to Select, and there is the experiment, and I'm just going to open it and put it in here. So now you see that it's up here, and now you see that it's just a few seconds long. Okay, so once you play it, you're going to see whether it's the right timing. So I'm going to just hit play. Now I see that it's just way too fast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on it, and I'm going to go to, if I just move this over, I'm going to go to speed. And what I want to do is I want to take the entire video and I want to slow it down a little. So I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to save changes. And now let's see what it looks like. Okay, it's a little too slow now, so let me just go here. I again want to go to speed. I'm going to make it somewhere in between, just a little tiny bit faster, but not too much. And then I'll do save changes, and let's see what that looks like. Okay, so I like the timing now. I've refined it a little, but there's one little bit that I'm really not in love with right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to split, and I'm going to just pull this out, and I'm going to go to the edge to click and drag to get rid of the beginning of that clip. So I do that, and then I need to click and drag to get rid of the ending of this clip. So I click here, and now hopefully I've gotten rid of that. Now I want to take this and this. I'm going to hold the shift key and click on both of them, and then I'm going to right click and close gaps. And now the whole thing should go smoothly. Okay. So this little ending part where the bot is at the very end, I'm going to just do import. I'm going to browse to select. I'm going to go to my downloads, and I'm going to go to the stop motion, and I'm going to actually take that last frame. I'm going to open it, and I'm putting it in here. So what I'm going to do with that last frame is I'm going to just drag it down to the timeline, and I think I'd like to zoom in on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on it, and what I'm going to do is create an animation. Okay. So what I'm going to do is this is the start position. That's exactly what I want. And now I want the end position. So the end position, I actually want to zoom in. So I'm going to zoom in. I'm just going to zoom in right on this scene, and that's how I'm going to end my movie. So I'm going to hit Save Changes, and you're going to see how it affects the entire movie. So we'll start out with, let's see, I want to start out with this first frame. So I'm going to import. Actually, I'm going to take all these frames. I'll just drag and select them all, and I'm going to pull them down. And I'm going to go to the beginning, and I'm going to import, browse to select my first frame, which is this one. And I think what I want to do is drag it down onto my timeline, and then I'm also going to double click on it and do an animation. So let me just get into the middle of it here, double click on it. And I want to do an animation where this is the, click on the start. Okay, that's how it's going to start. And the end position, I think I'm also going to scale it up and zoom in. In fact, I think I'm going to zoom in real close on this guy's face. Okay, save changes. And now I'm going to take all these, I'll select them all, right click, close gaps. Now let's see how it looks now. And that's my establishing scene. Okay, I'm not real fond of that, so I'm going to go back here. I'm going to take these three, I'm going to pull them out, and I think I'm going to just click here and push it in a little. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and move it down here, and I'm going to take my original video And I'm going to just cut out most of it. So I just have the very beginning establishing scene. That looks like the end. I don't want that. Oh, there it is. There's the video. Okay. And I just want to get rid of everything except the very initial establishing scene. Okay. So now I'm going to just select everything and close gaps. And let's see what it looks like now. Okay, I think what it is I don't want that establishing scene in there. What I want is this very beginning scene to go a little more slowly. So I'm going to just click on this and I'm going to split it. And then I'm going to take these and pull them out. I'm going to double click on this one. I'm going to go to speed and I'm going to just slow this one little part of the clip down. And that should give me my establishing shot. So let's try that again. Here's the beginning. And that first establishing shot is slowed down a little. And now I have a decent animation that has a beginning, middle, and end. So now my next step is audio. So being that this is kind of a violent thing, what I might do is I might look up under audio strong punch with swish. So let me just go through here. And that's when I would grab this and put it underneath my, so let's see how it sounds. All right, let's see. Okay, so it looks like it needs to start a little later. So let's just push it down and let's see about now. Okay, and it looks like it needs to last for a shorter time. So I'm just going to push it in here and let's see if it makes sense now. All right, that makes sense. And now I think I'm going to add another track. So I'm going to add another track. It's going to be another audio track. It'll be at the bottom. And I think I need to put some music. So I'm going to put fight music and see if I can find anything. Let's see. Okay, that sounds pretty good. I'm going to put it here, but it lasts too long. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to click down here and I'm going to split it and just hit the delete key and get rid of it. But now it ends too abruptly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on it and I'm going to fade it. Save changes. Okay. The other thing you can do is you can show the audio levels and you can actually curate the fade so that it is you have more control over it. And now let's see what it looks like. You can see with the audio, it is way more than okay. Now I need to give it a title. And if you look over here, you'll see there's a text track. So if you go here to text and you take this and you drag it onto the timeline, and then you just double click on it, and then it says make an impact with text. So make an impact. The stick dots are fighting. Okay, and now the palette. So I'm not real fond of that orange. I'd like to make it, but the stick bots are fighting. And there I've controlled the coloring. And now I have a title and I have sound. So let's see how it looks. You can see how much better it is with sound than with the the only thing I might want to do is I might want to make the punch a little louder. So I'm going to just turn that volume up on the punch a little bit so it's easier to hear. And let's see if that works. When I'm done, I'm going to hit finish. Um, put a name. This is extremely important. Go to HD instead of SD. Make sure that the destination is your Google Drive and make your export public. And then hit export. You should get a notification in your email in a few minutes, or it will be just appear in your Google Drive. So let me go to my Google Drive right now. And it should appear shortly. And that's basically all you have to do. And let's look at the video in a couple of minutes and see how it looks.